going on, MMA fans? I'm back to do my WEC 48 review video. I'm not going to go crazy into depth on a lot of these fights just because there was a lot of first-round finishes. The ones that were interesting and that I want to kind of break down, I'll go ahead and break those down. Alex Karalexis versus Anthony Pettis. One-sided affair. Pettis was just landing beautiful leg kicks, beautiful jabs, kept throwing the high switch kick. Eventually catches Karalexis in a triangle choke in the second round and finishes the fight. So congratulations to Pettis. Either he or the winner of the Shane Roller, Anthony Njokuani, which I'll get to that fight in a few mementos, are possibly in line for a title shot. We'll see how all that plays out. Leonard Garcia versus Chan Sung Jung. Man, high-paced fight. Not the most technical fight in the world, but I will say this is definitely a Fight of the Year candidate. It reminded me a lot of the Zaromskis-Mason fight, which was, a lot of people talked about that being a Fight of the Year a couple years back. Even though that fight had some more technical aspects to it, both of those guys were throwing bombs just as much as these guys were. And in that fight, both guys were hurt multiple times, and in this fight, both guys were hurt multiple times. A back-and-forth fight, high-paced, definitely has to be put onto the ballot for a candidate for Fight of the Year for sure. So, very, very good fight, very, very impressive fight. I had this fight scored 29-28 for Jung, him winning the first and the second rounds. Close fight. I wasn't really upset with the decision, but, one of the judges I thought would have scored it for Jung, didn't. It happens. It happens in MMA, but close fight. I went and looked at CompuStrike. The CompuStrike stats kind of show it, that it was a close fight. So congratulations to Garcia. Definitely a fight you need to check out. If you're an MMA fan, like I said, it wasn't the most technical aspect. There wasn't the most technical aspects in the fight, but it was a very, very entertaining fight. Both these guys were hurt multiple times, and it was a back-and-forth fight for sure. Antonio Benuelos versus Scott Jorgensen. Benuelos won the first round. He actually dropped Jorgensen with a beautiful counter left. And then from there, Jorgensen took over, just landing beautiful, beautiful combinations, catching Benuelos later on in the fight with a beautiful counter right straight, and goes on to win the fight. Congratulations to Scott Jorgensen. He's probably going to be the next guy in line for a shot, probably against Dominic Cruz. We'll see how all that plays out. It should be very, very interesting, but congratulations to him. Next fight, Anthony Njokuani versus Shane Roller. Shane Roller able to get this fight down to the ground, get Njokuani's back, have a beautiful, beautiful body triangle locked in. He actually had to switch it up based upon the way he was trying to leverage, so that he didn't blow his knee or his ankle out. And those of you that roll, and you do roll on the mat and do jiu-jitsu, you know that it's tough when you're trying to work a choke with a body triangle and leveraging the way he was trying to leverage. He had to switch that up as to not damage his leg, his knee, or his ankle. But he was able to get a beautiful rear naked choke in, lock it up, and win via submission in the first round. So congratulations to him. Like I said, him or Anthony Pettis, Shane Roller or Anthony Pettis, they're probably in line for a title shot, either one of those guys, or they may match them up to fight. We'll see how that plays out. For Njokuani, he still needs to work on some things with his ground game, his submission defense. His wrestling is still an area that he's still having problems with. Even in this fight, you could see it. All right, on to the next fight. Another candidate for upset of the year, Mike Brown versus Manny Gamburian. Mike Brown stalking down Manny Gamburian. Manny Gamburian using beautiful counter boxing, beautiful counter hooks that he was using. Catches Mike Brown with a beautiful counter, right baby hook, right to the jaw. Follows him to the ground, pounds him out, and wins via first round knockout. Wow. Very, very similar to how Mike Brown knocked out Uriah Faber, minus the spinning elbow that Faber threw. Gamburian is definitely up in the upper echelon at this point in the division. Probably one more fight, and he'll probably get a title shot. Like I said, this is definitely a candidate for upset of the year. A lot of people didn't see this coming. Mike Brown, didn't know what happened after he got knocked out. He was trying to grab, I believe it was Herb Dean that was the referee for this fight. He was trying to grab Herb Dean's leg and try to take him down, but that just went to show he didn't know where he was at. Next fight, Ben Henderson versus Donald Cerrone for the lightweight championship. Ben Henderson was just able to capitalize on a crucial mistake by Donald Cerrone, get a guillotine choke, lock it in, and tap him out in the first round. Donald Cerrone, just a mistake you can't make when you get in the clinch. You can't leave your neck out like that. Ben Henderson is just so good at doing that. Just so good. I want to almost say he's like a counter submission artist, because when you're on the offensive, if you do something with him, he will look for something. He did it in the Varner fight with that guillotine choke. He even did it earlier in the Varner fight with almost an inverted five-finger guillotine he tried to go for, where Varner, made a mistake. And Henderson just does that in so many of his fights, and he did it again in this fight. So congratulations to him. For Donald Cerrone, he'll be back. It'll be interesting to see who he gets next in his comeback after this fight. All right, on to the main event. I'm going to break this down, talk about some things. Jose Aldo versus Uriah Faber. A lot of people were just on the forums on SureDog. I was just surprised, just ripping Aldo apart, saying that he wouldn't finish the fight. We had another Anderson Silva on our hands, that he wasn't trying to engage with Faber. Well, number one, Faber kept leaving his left leg out there, and it was a technical, systematic breakdown of Uriah Faber by Aldo. I mean, I don't know how else to put it or how else fans want to look at it, but I mean, that's exactly what it was. Aldo was just picking apart Uriah in so many aspects, with the legs, with the body shots, with the combinations where he had Faber hurt later on in the fight, taking his back, looking for a dominant position, the crucifix position, and that's something I want to get to here in a second, something that I heard the corner say after that had happened, which kind of leads me to believe one of two things that happened, why Aldo didn't finish in the fifth round. But ultimately, Uriah just didn't have any answers for anything that Aldo was doing. He couldn't get him down. He couldn't handle throwing either his right leg out or his left lead leg for punching. He didn't have an answer for what Aldo was doing with the timing, with the leg kicks. And once Aldo started taking his legs off, which was, again, it's a systematic move and a technical move to try to slow Faber down. There was nothing really Faber could do. I believe, let me look here real quick. I want to look at the play-by-play because I can't remember. The crucifix was in the fourth round. Right after that had happened, Aldo went back to the corner and he said something. And then Soares started to, they had Soares over there translating for the corner man. And the corner man said something along the lines of, I know he's strong. Just stay on your feet. Keep taking advantage of what his leg, the fact that his leg isn't 100% and he isn't as mobile as he was earlier in the fight. What that leads me to believe is when he came back, he probably said something along the lines, because the way that Uriah was bucking the crucifix position, he almost once or twice almost got Aldo up and swept him. But it didn't happen. I don't know if Aldo, because of feeling that, he said something to his corner, and his corner said, hey, don't try to go back down there again because you may get caught in something. You don't want to get swept. You don't want him to get a dominant position. I'm almost 100% sure that was why Aldo chose not to go back down to the ground in the fifth round. I don't think it was so much of an issue of, and I know that people brought that up, that he was trying to be respectful. He didn't want to completely decimate Uriah in his hometown. But while that may have been it, and I won't completely disagree with that statement, I think that part of it had to do with this position and what was said in the corner after that round. I caught that, and I was just thinking to myself after I heard that, obviously Aldo felt that he may have had a problem in that position, and that he had a problem earlier in the fight with, having Faber's back with the strength, and was just afraid of being swept. So his corner told him, keep it standing, don't do anything stupid, you've already won this fight. There's no reason to, do anything more than you've already done. He's not as mobile as he was. Stick with your game plan. And Aldo just systematically picked apart Uriah Faber for 5 rounds. It's exactly what happened. A couple of these rounds were definitely 10-8 rounds. That round 4, I had it scored 10-8. The first round was really the closest round of the whole fight, where if you really wanted to, I guess you could have scored it for Faber, but even then, I still had it for Aldo. But the fourth round was a 10-8 round in my opinion. that's just me. I don't know how everyone scored this. The rest of the rounds were 10-9s to me. But Jose Aldo goes on to win via unanimous decision and just a systematic breakdown of Uriah Faber, so congratulations to him. I'll be back to do my MMA Corner video tomorrow. I'll also be back later on this week to talk about the what happened with the WEC, why we didn't see the branding, what that means, what's all going to play out with the way that this card was set up, and the future of the WEC, because there's some things that are definitely on the horizon. So, you guys, take it easy.